Hello and welcome to a fresh new episode of Rams Revealed presented by Sleep Number, the Rams' official sleep and wellness partner. I'm your host, JB Long, and as you know, the Rams are in control of their own playoff fate. They've won 3 in a row, and next up, a Week 16 trip to face the New York Jets in the Meadowlands. To preview that game and the postseason surge, I'm joined by Rams tight end Colby Parkinson, who makes his first appearance on the show. Good to see you, Colby.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. How'd you spend your extended weekend, mini bye, however you want to frame it?
Yeah, just relaxing with the wife and baby boy. It was a great weekend just to kind of get back together with them and, get ready for the rest of the season.
Do you enjoy those longer weekends more coming off a Thursday night win, which the Rams have been fortunate to have a couple of this season?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say it's the longest weekend if you lose. It's a great weekend if you win, though. So excited to get back to work this week, though.
Yeah, to be able to double up on Thursday night football, that's kind of a new wrinkle the NFL has thrown at the teams. You do play 2 of them, but it's a short trip. It's San Francisco, and you come away with victorious. How do you feel the body's holding up, and how does it set up for these final 3?
Yeah, all things considered, feel great this time of year, ready to go for these last 3 weeks. And like you said, we got a lot of momentum coming into these big-time games in December.
Do players get as geeked about the opportunity in front of you as the fans do? I mean, to see your team rally from 1-4 to the chance you have as soon as this Sunday is something else.
Yeah, I think we take it 1 week at a time, but you also kind of hear those birds chirping in the background talking about playoffs and, the turnaround that we've had this season. But we'll focus on this week and then see what happens next week.
I just think about all the hours and days and months that you pour in to having this chance to rack up this many wins, to put yourself in position to play meaningful, consequential football down the stretch.
I mean, yeah, it's everything. This team has just grown closer and closer together each and every week, and it's a testament to how Sean run things, and excited to see how we continue from here.
So after a few days off, what was the team meeting like at the facility this week as you gather to kind of review a couple of wins, Buffalo and San Francisco, and then set the stage for the challenge going to the East Coast?
Yeah, you said it. We weren't able to watch the Buffalo game with the Thursday game right after, so we were able to watch those 2 games together, see what we need to work on, and very similar defensive front structure coming up with the Jets. So should bode well for us in terms of a lot of same as play calls and techniques.
Yeah. Sean McVay has spoken publicly about what he said in front of the room after the Eagles loss, I believe it was, right? Less than 40 days to go. Can we commit to making the most of them? From your vantage point, what are your recollections of that moment in time for the Rams, and how has that sparked this little push here?
Yeah, I think that was a great message and well received by the entire team. Every single week now, I'll mark down at how many days we have left, how many practices we have left, how many opportunities to go out there and prove not only that I can be a great player, but how I can help this team and improve for them. Really?
So like the guaranteed days, guaranteed games, you in a notebook, kind of just keep track of?
Just at the top of my notes. I'll write that down at the start of each week.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, so my kids are counting down to Christmas and taking out the Advent calendar.
I am too, don't worry.
Okay, very good. What do you make either this week or in the broader picture of the term trap game? Like the Rams coming off a rivalry win, hearing that you're in first place now, last road trip of the year, you got 2 home games against division rivals on the backside of it. Psychologically, you know enough to know what this means in New York.
Right, absolutely. This is just as important as last week was and will be as important as the following 2 weeks. So we need to approach it as that, and we have to come away with a win and do everything in our power to do so.
Going to be cold.
Yeah, going to be a little cold. Hopefully not as wet as last week, though. So
how do you prepare when a game day high is hovering around 20, 24 degrees?
Honestly, don't think about it too much. I know some guys have their different, lotions that they put on to stay warm skin, all that stuff. But honestly, I think it's just the same as it's what really gets different is the rain games like last week where you have to change gloves. And
Did you change gloves?
Change gloves and cleats and everything so you're not slipping around, and whole different approach.
I imagine that game plan played out a lot differently than maybe what you had rehearsed here in Woodland Hills.
Yeah. It's definitely a run game emphasis, a lot of grinded out plays, and all field goals. No one would have put money on that. So kind of crazy.
What I love about closing time, though, is after the D Will interception, the Rams have the ball up 3, 5 minutes to play. It's 5-minute mode, right? What we call 4-minute mode in football. But you're looking to salt that game away on offense. And I love that it was the tight ends that helped get that done. Hunter Long had one. You had a couple. Take us inside that last drive.
Yeah, we knew that we had to do our job to keep the defense off the field and try to run down as much clock as we can. Hunter and I will both be the first to say that we should have got down on a couple of those catches to run the clock, so we don't have to get into that. But yeah, the offensive line just, running behind them, Kyron doing his thing, and then throwing the ball when we had to. Matthew did a great job, and guys did a great job protecting for him.
I talked with Sean earlier about like having the keeper game in your pocket still. You hadn't really thrown that at the Niners. You saved that for the last drive. It works to perfection. What you said, though, about the game management, like are those the types of things that normally get mentioned in a huddle pre-snap here? Like, hey, Hunter, hey, Colby, like. Yeah,
normally you'll hear something like, hey, this is 5 minute, make sure that you get down, stay in bounds, and that's completely on us. But thankfully it worked out.
It did work out. Let's go to the other side of the 2-minute warning. Have you ever been more wide open, more all alone than you were on that 3rd and 4 conversion?
Not at all. And it's funny, we watch all the tight end touchdowns every week as a tight end group, and half the time they're just wide open. And I'll always joke, I'm like, man, that would be nice. I wish that would happen to us. And here we go. Just a way to kind of ice the game and get that first down.
So it was Cooper motioning in a way that kind of drew the attention to that second level of the defense?
Yeah, the nickel and the safety both ran, and I'm like, are they going to stay over there? So Matthew saw it too, and we were able to catch a quick one.
It seems so obvious when you're watching from the bird's eye view, but that's a feel from 100%. Matthew Stafford, right? To just identify the dispersion and who might be there.
Yep, absolutely.
Must have felt good.
Yeah.
What do you make of what Sean was saying about this group having the attribute of winning games different ways with different styles? Is that just how this season has played out, or do you feel like that's a real strength to your toolkit that the Rams can use down this stretch?
Yeah, I think we've kind of added to that toolkit throughout these last 4 weeks and the entire season. Each game's been different, like you said, and I think that just stems from our confidence that's continuing to grow. The guys are doing a great job every single week putting in the work, and like you said, it's not, the same way every single week. So we feel confident that we can win no matter what the circumstances are.
Colby, you're right at the fulcrum between run and pass in your tight end room.
Yeah.
So I wonder, from your vantage point, what's it been like seeing the offensive line get some continuity, some time on task, and how has that impacted winning here in this last month?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, those guys are playing phenomenal football, and we're able to run the ball well. And when we're able to run the ball well, I mean, you saw it in the Buffalo game, we were able to throw it, and that just opens up the entire offense. And it's really cool to see how Sean uses all of those different moving parts together.
I just flashed back to Jared Verse clinching the Saints game.
Yeah.
And some in our audience have said, like, don't block him with the tight end. One, do you take that personally?
Yeah.
And two, would you advise opponents not to block Jared Verse with the tight end?
I think both can be true. I take that personally, and I would advise not doing that.
Because you've tried this.
Yes.
Going back to the summer, you've experienced this. The Rams get one of their leaders back this week in Tyler Higbee. He's been working so hard behind the scenes since that injury in Detroit, set to make his 2024 debut. What's it been like observing that, first of all, before we talk about what his impact could mean in your huddle?
Just seeing his hard work and his dedication to the team just completely unwavered throughout this process. A lot of guys can get hurt and kind of feel bad for themselves, but that wasn't him. He took it head on, and he's been in every single meeting, helping me out as, a newcomer to the Rams, helping me understand the offense. Done an amazing job. So excited to get him back out there and play with him.
And in terms of a game plan, in terms of execution, what could having a built-out, fully formed tight end room mean for the Rams as they look to make this postseason push?
Yeah, I think we're just continuing to build on what we've been building all year, and adding, another weapon can only help us.
How come the tight ends always have the best hair?
I think it's a staple of the room.
Is it?
It's got to be that way. Yep.
Do you ever miss your long look?
I do. Higgs and I talk about bringing the flow back every now and then, but it's a lot of commitment.
Was he the first mover on that? I think he chopped his pretty early on.
Yeah, he did.
And yours is more recent.
Yeah, I chopped it this offseason.
Because?
I always said when I had a kid, I'd cut my hair.
So
he wouldn't be grabbing it and everything, but he still finds, my beard or...
Smart.
Yeah, things to
go. We'll talk about him a little bit later on in the show. One other thought while I'm thinking of it. Are you the tallest Ram? Because the roster says it's Rob. Have you ever gone
I think I am taller
back to
than
back?
him, actually. Okay. I'm not entirely sure, but we've talked about this, and I think I'm slightly taller.
It's like you, him, and Alaric.
Yeah.
So you play like a tackle in terms of roster height.
Yeah.
Individually, let's talk about your season so far. You've already set a career high for receptions. You're closing in on a single season career high for yards. What's been your evaluation of your first year as a Ram?
Yeah, I'm happy with where I've been at, but in continuing to try to get better each and every week. I think that this whole offensive staff does a great job of cultivating growth and encouraging you to be the best person that you can, best player that you can. So just continue to try to get better, try to help this team And there's been ups and downs in playtime and receptions and all that. And that doesn't really matter to me. What matters is helping the team win. And I think that this environment really does a good job at that.
So let me take that cue. You talk about the variance in terms of your role within a game plan. Sometimes it's looked like starters reps. Sometimes it's looked like, sharing the load with Davis and Hunter and some others. Now with Tyler coming into the fray as well, how do you balance all that in terms of what is the next week going to hold?
Yeah, it's just 1 week at a time and doing whatever's best for the team. If you start thinking about yourself, start thinking about your own play time, your own catches and yards and everything, it can get overwhelming, and honestly, you don't play as well. So focusing on the team, focusing on the unit as a whole is going to be my approach this game and for the rest of my career.
I do want to point out your age, though. And for those who don't know, like Colby was one of the youngest members of his draft and then subsequently free agent class. You're the same age as Kobe Turner, just to put that in perspective. Like you turned 26 in January, right? So do you feel like you're still growing into the part of a starting tight end in the NFL, which is one of the toughest things to do in this sport?
Yeah, I do forget very often that I'm still 25, but I feel that I have the capability to be that starting tight end, and just continuing to get better to allow myself the opportunities going forward to have that role.
I know you left college early, but are you young for your class too? Is that part of how
I think I was pretty average for my class.
Okay,
just
so it was more
college.
just in this post-COVID environment where we have 5th and 6th year seniors. You were
that are my age.
You were buzzing through Stanford. Yeah. The Bill Belichick news this week, by the way, made me think of Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have any perspective on like, would it work if he wanted to go back to college because he was so good for so long?
I could see it. I mean, Pete still had as much energy as he's always had his whole time there. So much respect for that guy and love for him. So I could see it. I know the Seahawks played the Patriots a couple years back. It was the oldest matchup in NFL history. So to see Belichick go down to college is very interesting. I hope the best for him. We
enjoyed that rivalry between Pete and Sean for many years. How would you compare and contrast two men who have gone about it very different ways, different career paths, but have experienced so much success?
Yeah, honestly, I would say the way they cultivate, competition and growth is very similar. Pete was all about energy and competitiveness, and it's very similar to how Sean runs things down here. So I feel like I was able to step into that very well, and it's so cool to be able to play for two of the greatest head coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, part of the reason it's relative is because you're from Simi Valley, you're from this area. We've covered that on various platforms. Went to Oaks Christian in Westlake. One interesting thing, and this is a real tangent, but bear with me here because I discovered it just reading more about you this week.
Yeah.
The Rams' recent win over the Bills drew many comparisons to the 2018 game at the Coliseum. It goes down as like one of the great Monday Night Football games of all time. But what we can never compare is the circumstances of that game. And for those who don't remember, there was the Woolsey fire going on, right? There was a tragic shooting at Borderline that claimed 12 lives. And you were at Stanford at the time. And so I read that those events were very much on your mind, on your heart, as you had a career game. I think this was 2 days before this Rams-Chiefs game. You go out and score 4 touchdowns from KJ Costello. Do you remember that moment?
I do, yeah.
And the tide of this kind of community?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also major fires going up in Northern California at the same time. So I had a personal friend who was lost in that shooting. So it was very, sentimental to me. And to be able to go out and, hopefully put a smile on some people's faces with that performance was amazing. And then to watch that game, I remember watching it with some of my buddies, at the facilities, was just unbelievable.
Yeah. I didn't think I'd ever see a game as electric as that. But the one you guys played against the Buffalo Bills was very, very reminiscent of that. Again, only in terms of the points and the on-field product. All right, time here for the wind down. It's brought to you by Sleep Number. Each week on Rams Revealed, we get insight into how sleep and recovery impacts performance in the NFL. You referenced your son earlier in the show. I thought this is the perfect time. Your first season with a newborn, sleep and recovery. Forrest, is his name?
Yeah, Forrest.
Okay. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's doing great.
And how is he impacting sleep and recovery in the Parkinson household?
Well, my wife is very gracious. So while we were sleep training, she took the brunt of that. And by the brunt of it, I mean 100%. And he's sleeping great now. He's, sleeping on his own, able to put himself to sleep. And if he needs something, I know who to wake up so that she can go help him out.
What have you learned about yourself as a father? Maybe something surprised you or...
I mean, just so much love for this child who I, barely even know. Like right when he came out, it's just overwhelming. And
Yeah.
I'm a Christian, so it just reminds me of my faith in my Lord, my Father. So pretty amazing to experience that.
How about baby's first Christmas? What's that like?
Can't wait. Yeah. So Davis Allen's wife actually knitted him something that says Forest in a little Christmas outfit. So look her up on Etsy if you guys are looking for some Christmas attire for your kids. So excited to get him in that and experience the first Christmas.
Oh, that's terrific. And you still have friends, obviously, and family in the area too. Do you get to gather for the midweek holiday? A
lot of friends. Some of my family's moved away, but they'll be coming back to town. So excited to see them.
All right. We have so many Dodger fans in the room and in the facility. Got to ask you, having the first chance to talk to you since the World Championship, the Ohtani season, how did that all land for you?
Oh, it was awesome. So I grew up kind of a Mariners fan and a Dodgers fan.
Interesting.
So I lived in Seattle for a couple of years when I was a kid, but when we moved down here, I was a Dodgers fan. So I've been following them closely for a long time, and it was an amazing season to see Ohtani just crush the 50-50 record, and then to go on and win the whole thing was a lot of fun.
Cool. And then lastly, I hear you reference your older brother in conversation a little bit. Can you tell us about him, the role he's played in your football and life off the field as well?
Yeah. So he's 5 years older than me, but it seems like we've been the same age and best friends since I can remember. I always did everything he did. He started playing football first. So of course I quit soccer and started playing football. And he started playing guitar. I started playing guitar, and everything he did, I did. So very thankful for that relationship. My dad was always super intentional about making sure we spend a lot of quality time together, and couldn't be more thankful for both of them.
Soccer at 6'7" would have been interesting.
Yeah. I think I might have been a goalie at that height.
Would have been good at it too.
Yeah.
We close each show with our grease board sketch. Beg your pardon here while I find it. We're so thankful for Fer and her amazing contributions to this show and her artistic talent that we get to showcase.
Well done. That's amazing.
Pretty solid, right?
That is great. Oh.
Yeah, we'll give our audience a view of it. Will you sign that and send us on our way? Oh,
there you go.
Very good. Thank you for displaying that. And thank you for helping us get to know you a little bit. I think it's the right time to be talking Rams and tight end room as you get set to travel to New York.
Absolutely.
All right. For Colby Parkinson, I'm JB Long. Thank you, as always, for being with us for Rams Reveal, presented by Sleep Number.